What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a lot of racing news to talk about today. Not just NASCAR news we need to talk about, but we got to talk about some IndyCar news as well. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. The first thing we are going to be talking about is Matt Benedetto. Matt Benedetto had an interview with Bob Pockers not that long ago, and he said that the deadline for Team Penske to inform him on whether it picks up his option actually for 2021 is at the end of September. Now, in my honest opinion, Matt Benedetto, while he has not performed as well as I thought he was, I think he has personally been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic because without that practice or qualifying to get used to the 21 car, he has not been able to perform as good as a lot of people thought that he was going to perform here in 2020. I really hope that Matt Benedetto's contract does not end at the end of this year because I think if he is let go at the end of this year, he's going to be given a very unfair shake. I think Matt Benedetto is a really good driver. He took a chance on himself in 2019 when he went over to Levine Family Racing and did pretty well over there. If the pandemic was not a thing this year, I think Matt Benedetto would be performing a lot better than he has here. I thought he would at least get a win, even with the pandemic going around, though. But I think if you give him another opportunity next year in this COVID pandemic, it really isn't going on as much this year. Not this year, but next year as much as it has this year. I think he will go out there perform a lot better, and I think he will win. But it is a Team Penske car, and you have to also remember that Austin Cindric is in the pipeline of possibly taking over this car. So I hope that Matt Benedetto gets to stay with, because not as confident right now that he is going to remain with the team, but I'm hoping for the case that he will remain with the organization going into 2021 because I think he deserves a second chance. If he does leave, I really don't know what's going to happen at the Benedetto. I hope he gets to stay with this team. Up next, we're going to be talking about Auto Club. It looks like they are starting to send out renewals to the racetracks that will be remaining on the 2021 schedule. And someone got apparently the date for this race, and it looks like this race will be taking place on the February 28th weekend. Now, we do know currently right now about the Daytona Speed Week going on due to the Super Bowl. We do know about that. We also do know that Phoenix is probably going to be the championship race once again. And we also do know about the National Super Speedway weekend. Now, this is really good that this will be a little bit earlier in the season because you want a lot more time to get the track ready, since this will probably be the last race on the regular configuration, as Auto Club Speedway will be transitioning over to the half-mile short track that we found out a week ago. I think Auto Club Speedway will be put on a pretty good show. I mean, I think the package has kind of hurt the track, obviously. But really good news here in Auto Club. It probably will be renewing about where it usually was. It'll be the third race of the year. I'm expecting it to be Daytona week. And then probably right after Auto Club, we would be headed over to the Las Vegas track. And I think Auto Club would be race year of the year. I think they maybe should have moved it a week earlier, though. But I'm glad the Auto Club is still going to be a little bit earlier in the year than this year actually, which was March, and now we move back to February. Up next, we're going to be talking about Travis Pastrana and Pastrana Daly, as both of those drivers will be racing for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series race at Las Vegas. I think Pastrana Daly is a really good IndyCar driver, and I would like to see what he could do in these trucks. I would like to see what he can do at Vegas. He has raced on the ovals, and he performs pretty well on the ovals. I think he's a really good IndyCar driver. As for Travis Pastrana, I don't know how he's going to do. He didn't do fantastic. He did go 2 laps down in the Truck Series race not that long ago at Kansas, in a Kansas doubleheader. I think he ran the Saturday race, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he finished like 25th or 30th, but again, he fell a couple laps down. I think Travis Pastrana didn't do great in NASCAR, but he's had a few good truck races, and I see what both those guys can do, because I think there is a good possibility for them. And now we get into one of the bigger stories of this episode. Scott McLaughlin is finally going to be making his IndyCar debut at the St. Petersburg Grand Prix in October. In my opinion, Scott McLaughlin is a very, very, very talented driver. He has dominated the VA Supercars. He's got 53 wins in the VA Supercars in that series in Australia. And now as a Team Penske driver, he'll be finally coming over to make his IndyCar debut at St. Pete. Like I said, he is a very, very, very awesome driver. I think Scott McLaughlin is going to do a lot, especially in the IndyCar series. Roger Penske has compared Scott McLaughlin to Rick Mears. And when you are compared to Rick Mears, you are going to do a lot, in my opinion. The fact that he has had that high of praise is great to see. He will be taking over the seat that Julio Castroneves has ran, which to me, that means that Julio Castroneves is going to be a free agent, probably going over to McLaren for the IndyCar series. Like I said, there is a possibility that Scott McLaughlin could also run in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, maybe for some one-off road course races for Team Penske if they decide to run a second car next year. That is a big possibility. He actually had to get permission to come over to America because Australia has had some really big restrictions from the COVID-19 virus because the U.S. is a very high spot for COVID-19. I think Scott McLaughlin is going to do a lot of big things in the series. I have a lot of high praise for Scott McLaughlin, and I think he's going to do a lot in the IndyCar series. And you look at the IndyCar field next year, you look at guys like Jimmy Johnson, you look at all the power at like Will Power and Julio Castroneves possibly part-time, and Sebastian Bourdais coming back full-time for AJ Foyt. Like I said, Colton Herta, Joseph Newgarden. A lot of very good and very talented drivers, and also Scott Dixon as well. A lot of good and very talented drivers in the IndyCar series. And I think there is a very high possibility that a guy like Scott McLaughlin come out there, and I think he really could pick up and take the reins of this series. You know, like I said, I think Scott McLaughlin is very, very awesome, a very awesome young upcoming driver. He's done very well in the VAs, and I think he is going to do a lot. I think he could be a guy who right away dominates. You know, I've seen him in the testing. He got third at the test before the season began at Barber. At Circuit of the Americas. I get the locations wrong. At Circuit of the Americas, he did really well, and he also did really well in the Texas test. He passed his oval test, and he was supposed to be making starts earlier this year, but because of COVID, he couldn't race, but he finally gets to race, and it's expected that he will probably be racing full-time next year. I'm very excited to watch what he's going to do at St. Pete. I'm really excited to see where he goes from here. Up next, Talladega is going to have finally announced that they are having the limited number of fans for the Talladega. The tickets are finally available. Great to hear that Talladega's tickets have been announced for the Yellowwood 500. Up next, speaking of which, another track, Indianapolis Motor Speedway will host up to 10,000 fans per day for the IndyCar Harvest GP weekend in early October. Finally, Indianapolis having fans. They were supposed to have fans for Indianapolis 500. That did not happen. The Indy NASCAR doubleheader when we had the Brickyard 400 weekend and we had the Indianapolis Grand Prix, that did not happen. Finally, we're going to get some fans in Indianapolis, the heart of the IndyCar series. Great to hear the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is finally going to have fans for that weekend. I think we're going to see some really exciting races. Well, I'm not sure. Probably going to be Scott Dixon's playground since, you know, he dominated and actually won the Indianapolis Grand Prix earlier this year. He's been very strong at those races, and I'm very excited to see what Scott Dixon can do at those races again. I think Scott Dixon will probably lock up the championship for the IndyCar series, but I'm really happy to hear that we're finally going to have fans in the IndyCar area. That is really exciting news to hear. And now we get into the final story, and this was just announced a little bit ago. According to Adam Sir, NASCAR, Speedway Motorsports, and other industry stakeholders are discussing the possibility of running a dirt track race at Bristol in the coming years, though talks are in the early stages. Now, here's something interesting to note. This is not the first time the Bristol Motor Speedway has hosted dirt races, as they held dirt races for the World of Outlaws in 2000 and 2001. Now, in my opinion, I don't think the Cup Series, they need to have this race as like an official Cup date, like one of the points paying races. I think that there is a good chance in the future that this could become the All-Star race as a dirt race. Bristol's not too shy from doing a lot of different things. They had the Battle of Bristol in 2016 for that football game between Tennessee and Virginia Tech, and that honestly was a blowout. Tennessee pretty much dominated that game against Virginia Tech. Danny B was really happy about that as he went to that game, and I never watched the game, which probably should have as a NASCAR fan who was watching college football. But I think that this is going to be really cool. I think the World of Outlaws will come back to this event. You may see some ARCA as well, but I don't see this as a Cup day. But man, back on the possibility of the All-Star race being a thing, I think it'd be really cool as the actual exhibition race for the Midsummer Class race. I think the All-Star race does need to remain at Bristol Motor Speedway, in my personal opinion. But man, the fact that Bristol Motor Speedway is going to finally have some dirt races coming in the future. Now, this is the early stages. I don't see it happening next year. I think in 2022 or 2023, though, we could see some exhibition races maybe like for the World of Outlaws, maybe for the Cup Series. That is a very big possibility. Man, this is a very exciting time. I mean, you know, we got all these cool things happening. You got Auto Club coming at half-mile short track, and you got Bristol Motor Speedway now probably holding some dirt races. Not just, I mean, the Truck Series probably will come here in the future, but the fact that the Cup Series is probably going to have some future races at this track, that is really exciting news here, and that makes me really excited as a NASCAR fan. So anyway, that is all the NASCAR news I have for you guys today. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. What do you think about Bristol having some dirt races in the future? Let me know in the comments below. And what do you think about the future for Matt Benedetto and Scott McLaughlin? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.